This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Reaction syndrome. Now, if you thought the end of that song, Rock Bottom by UFO, very appropriate, unidentified flying objects, which is basically the Vikings' chances of winning the division, that just kind of went out the window. But you heard at the very end there where there was a little, if that had been live in concert, that would have went on for another 5 minutes, but that's another story in itself. Yep. That's all, folks. Can you find that soundbite anywhere? It's from,
sure.
It's Porky Pig, I think, isn't it? From Warner Brothers. That's all, folks. And that was it. It was game, set, match. You use whatever cliche you want to as far as, the one I love using is dim the lights, draw the curtain, and fade to black, because it was, the coach summed it up quite succinctly in his
that's all, folks.
Throw that somewhere on the old button bar. I wonder which one we could dump off of. They're all so good. You know, I don't really need cash in, cash out. Save cash in, cash out. I don't use it very often. But throw in EBIT, that's all, folks, because we'll be using that a lot, I think, as the season progresses.
Well, it'd be good before the Sad Eyes montages that we all do.
Yeah, there's a couple of people were wondering where that was. Well, you don't do that till it's officially over. I mean, you could say, it's unofficially over, you think. I mean, I find it hard to believe from what I saw. It was complete and total beatdown from the start to the very end. I mean, it looked like the Vikings were going to get off to a nice start when Zayraj looked like he had a pick six, and then upon further review, they say he did not have control of the football. And I don't know, Tenneby. I mean, I don't think it would have made a difference anyways. There will be people, there will be diehards that'll say, "What, 7-0? We're going to be all over them." Well, maybe, but I just don't think that would have made any difference at all. The booth official, whoever, who was the guy they have in the booth for Prime Video? The official that reviews the plays for the broadcast crew. I can't remember his name.
I was listening on the radio, but your Pereira types?
Yeah, the Pereira type. He said he didn't think there was enough evidence to overturn it. I'm just telling you, that's like, it's like throwing a deck chair off the Tenna Fitzgerald. It just isn't going to make a difference. I don't think it makes any difference in the outcome.
The Chargers were better in all facets, correct, all phases of the game. That being said, that is a pretty significant play. I
don't think it changes the outcome of the game.
Probably doesn't.
No,
but you never know.
No, it doesn't. That's where it
changes the mentality of the game. It changes the belief in your team.
If you want to believe that one, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona.
I'm mostly agreeing with you.
Well, it's 100%. That there was nothing there that would not have changed the game plan for San Diego, which was basically run the ball down their throat, throw the ball at will. That is a bad defensive unit. It's really bad, and the acquisitions they made in the offseason aren't any good. Wentz shouldn't even have been playing. He was in such pain. There was no... That was just him being a tough guy. And as a coach, you have to say, you're not playing. We're starting Rosemary. You can't play the guy like that. I think it did affect his effect. He's not any good anyways. We know that. That's why he was on the couch and they had to call him. But there was no excuse. They have no running game. Offensive line is in shambles again. Darisaw couldn't go. He tried. 2 series, he was out. O'Neal apparently shouldn't have been back last week, because now, from what they tell me, that they think last week, because he played every snap, he was favoring his right knee, so now his left knee is all sore. And so there's some...
That's all, folks.
Wait, hold on. Is EBITDA there yet? No.
No, I can't get it on the button bar until... I can't do that in here.
EBITDA, that's all, folks. And so... Well, let's do this. I got hundreds of emails, maybe not hundreds, but I've got a number to get to. There's plenty to talk about today. We got a full day, too. Matter of fact, we could take some talkbacks. Why don't we try that? If you have the iHeartRadio app, great. If you don't, download it. It's free. Then you search stations. By the way, put it on your presets. And then when you download the iHeartRadio app, if you haven't already, find KFAN. And then you'll see a microphone icon in the corner of the screen. You tap it. You got 30 seconds or less to deliver us a text message. The reason I'd like to do that today and lean on that a little bit is because no Rosen today, no Little B today, no program password today, no KOC with the day after the game news conference. So with none of that available, we're going to talk a lot of Vikings. And, of course, there are other topics we need to get to as well. So we'll do all of that. But right now, as we take a break, Tennessee, you have a keyword for our national cash contest.
I do. The fan and two men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks for their national cash contest. Just enter the keyword cash at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That keyword is cash. Enter it now at KFAN.com. This football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest, and learn more and enter today. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common East Tennessee. Vikings destroyed last night by the Chargers in every way, shape, or form. That's
all, folks.
As bad a loss as there has been in the Kevin O'Connell era, I think. I was picking through Ben Gessling's recap of the game, Fish Wrap Factory West Side. I highlighted a couple of paragraphs, including this one that says, the Vikings were outclassed in every phase and exceeded in every metric by the Chargers, who gained 29 first downs, ran for 207 yards, didn't punt once, and held the ball for 39 minutes. L.A. had 10 plays of 15 yards or more, 7 of those in the first half, when quarterback Justin Herbert strafed the middle of the Vikings defense and gained 51 yards on 5 scrambles of his own. The Chargers had 4 drives of 9 plays or more. Their longest drive, a 94-yard march in the second quarter, ended with Herbert lofting a 27-yard touchdown pass over Jeff Okudah's head for Ladd McConkey, who scored to put them up 21-3. Those numbers are astonishing to me. And if you think the Chargers have a good offense, wait till the Kitties get it's a pick your score next week unless something changes dramatically. And I don't know how it can, because this defensive performance doesn't seem like it was a one-off to me. I mean, they were bad again. I know they only gave up 21 points against Philly last week. The fourth tutty was the pick six, but they allowed a quarterback last week to record a perfect QBR rating. They couldn't stop him, and the same thing happened again last night. It says here, the Vikings, who finished the game with guards Donovan Jackson and Will Fries as their only healthy starters on the offensive line, have given up 38 sacks in 9 games during the 2025 calendar year and ran just 11 times for 34 yards against a Chargers team that had allowed 5.1 yards per carry this season. And so obviously getting Aaron Jones back, we talked about it yesterday. I said always good to get back healthy players and your starters. I mean, Aaron Jones is considered the starting running back, but he made no difference in the game. And I won't put it all on him. It's that offensive line. It is. Did you know
who led the team in rushing last night?
No, who did?
Xavier Scott. He had 2 carries in garbage time for 16 yards.
Says here, this year, the Vikings have given up at least 130 rushing yards to 4 opponents, with the Chargers' 207 yards surpassed only by the Falcons' 218 on September 14. The Chargers were content to bully the Vikes with fullbacks and tight ends, gaining 5.4 yards per play, with 2 tight ends and 2 running backs on the field, according to NFL Next Gen Stats. The Vikings struggled to corral big running back Kamani Vidal, who gained 74 of his 117 yards after contact. That's according, again, in Next Gen Stats. as players stood with hands on hips, fighting fatigue between play. Both units are just simply awful right now. But the defense surprises me even more than the offense because, look, even if it had been McCarthy, I don't know how much better the team would play. We saw McCarthy for 2 games. He had one brilliant quarter, which gives you hope. The other 7 quarters were not very good. Wentz is Wentz. There's a reason Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz because he was born to a family whose last name was Wentz, and they decided to call him Carson. And remember, he was a late addition to the roster. The Vikings had acquired Sam Howell. Was that on draft day or near draft?
On draft day, yeah.
On draft
it was like a
day.
pick swap.
A pick swap because they thought he would be an ideal backup quarterback. Once they went through training camp, they decided he's not the guy, so they went out and got Wentz. We talked about this a little bit, Tennessee, in the first segment. I don't even know how Wentz is allowed to play last night. I mean, football's a tough guy game. I get that. And my guess is Wentz, you saw Wentz wins over and over. And I don't think it was milking it. I don't think he was trying to do, I'm playing bad. I want people to know I'm in pain. I'm thinking he's taking a beating out there. And all guys want to play. We know that's how it is in the NFL, man. You play.
Well, I don't know if that's the case with this Vikings team.
Well, it's a badge of honor. Well, yeah, maybe.
It's not the case with their left tackle.
Well, but I'm not ready to suggest that the left tackle is soft and not playing because if his knee's bad, you don't want it to buckle again. I'm not ready to go there. If other people want to say he's soft and doesn't play, that's fine. I'm not ready to say that because I'm not in his shoes. He goes to show you where Wentz is, how he wanted to play last night. And I guess if you want to play, I mean, the coach said, I saw the quotes, he said he checked with the medical staff and with Wentz a couple of times, and he said, I'm good to go. And it was interesting. There was the one time he was sacked, and he went off, and it looked like he might have to have his arm and shoulder completely amputated. And then he was smiling and laughing on the sideline, so he rebounded quite quickly after that play. But
when you're down 3 scores in the fourth quarter and he's in pain every time he comes off the field, you got to pull him.
Yeah, and they did. They finally did. They finally went with Bro. I don't know what time they went with Rose. I was dozing in and out.
That's like the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, I got to admit, I was dozing in and out. I did not see all of the second half. I think the Vikings were dozing in and out. They played like they were sleepwalking through the game. But it's and now people will get their wish. The people that wanted to see McCarthy. They said this season, there were people that 2 or 3 weeks ago, God bless them, I guess they predicted it, they're seers. They said the season's over, we're not going anywhere here, so we got to see what we have in McCarthy. You and I were a bit more, well, you can't give up on the season just quite yet. Hell, they were 3-2 at the time, then they were 3-3. So you have to play it out a little bit. You just have to, and that's the way the organization's going to play. A team is not going to give up on the season, at least publicly, when they're 3-3. Now we're 3-4, and Wentz is a shell of his former self, and I don't know how long it would take that shoulder. Even if they wanted to play Wentz, how much better is he going to get between now and next Sunday? Probably not very much. So now you're going
odds of him giving you the best chance to win at this point after the last 2 weeks.
That's it. That's exactly right. So now you go with McCarthy. So people are going to see what they put it this way. God bless McCarthy back there against with that offensive line.
If he's got this line, he's in trouble
because he's going to be in big trouble. He's going to be running for his life back there. And then we talk about this all the time about quarterbacks getting their confidence crushed when they're put in a situation. I mean, I know there were times Wentz probably hung onto the ball too long, but you saw the rush, Tennessee. And if guys aren't open, and I know, and again, I didn't break down the all 22 wide, but it just seems the philosophy of the Vikings is they like to have pass patterns develop and go a little longer, right? So when you're trying to develop a little longer pass patterns with 2 of the best wide receivers in pro football, it's not going to give your quarterback much time to throw, and he had no time to throw. And then when you have no running game, there's no play action fear. And then that defense, and we'll talk more about that on the other side of the break as well. We'll read some emails, we'll take some text messages. I haven't checked yet, but I'm sure we're getting a few talkbacks. We'll do that as well. Vikings crushed.
Who brought us Peek at the Purple?
Oh, that's right. Peek at the Purple. Thank you. Brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Cool thing about Affordable Electric, they can handle all of your electrical needs, including if you bought an EV, they can install a level 2 240-volt charger for you. If you have a 3-season sport, like watch your football outdoors, want to stay warm, baseboard heaters. Also, they're looking for help. They need a journeyman electrician and an apprentice electrician and all of your electrical needs, go to affordable-electric.com, affordable-electric.com. And remember, affordable electric is shockingly affordable. Shockingly affordable. Back with more of Vikings post-mortem after this here on The Fan.
KFAN welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra for 2 amazing shows at Target Center on December 28th at 3 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale now. Get complete show details, including a link to buy tickets at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Couple 13, 14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He's 10 to be. No Lil B today. No program password. No Mark Rosen. Just little old 10 to be and I taking you till 3 o'clock. You'll probably, if you're not aware of it already, if you listen for much longer, you'll realize that I am uninformed, unprepared, but unrepentant in regards to the 2 points I made just moments ago. If you're looking for poised, polished, and professional, you'll get it at 3 o'clock when Big Ticket, Dan Barrero, and JG take the stage. Here's a text message. This one says, the defense is made worse by an offense that can't do anything. They played 70 snaps, I think, last night, which is about 30 to 40 too many. I'll grant you that. But they couldn't have been too tuckered because the first time, how about when San Diego took the ball for the very first time in the game? How are they tired? It was a 14-play, 83-yard drive that took 7 minutes and 39 seconds. They're not tired. Matter of fact, that was the first time they took the field. Quit trying to bail out the defense. The defense is awful. And I tried to tell people, and I got ripped to the point where I cried myself to sleep at night when I came up with the chant, it might not be Donatel. It might be the personnel. Ed Donatel was the scapegoat, the fall guy for the Minnesota Vikings back in O'Connell's first season when they lost to the New York Football Giants in the playoffs. It's all O'Connell's fault. Okay? Or it's all Donatel's fault. Because he doesn't, the game's passed him by. He plays that cover 2 stuff, and that's ancient. We don't play that anymore in the National Football League. And again, I'm not blaming it all on the coach, it's just the idea that people try to simplify things and say, if we have the right coach, voila, all is solved. We had NFL Coach of the Year. There are people that think, and I'm not saying O'Connell's a bad coach, but what's happened? Offense is awful. And again, there are injuries on that defensive line, but on that offensive line, the one offensive acquisition they made in free agency, I guess that's panned out. I think Fries, we talked about this last week, I don't see grading on Fries. Maybe somebody can provide it for me. He came in as a free agent offensive lineman. He's played every game. He has not missed a game. He's played every snap. So at least he's playing, which is you can't say about the center that we got, but the center does have concussion problems. So I'm not suggesting he should play, but he was injury prone before, so he's not helping us at all. And then Darisaw can't stay healthy. O'Neal can't stay healthy, and that'll happen sometimes. And so there are some unfortunate circumstances. The rookie quarterback can't stay healthy. I mean, he missed all of last year because of a knee injury and knee surgery, and that will happen. And now he has a high ankle sprain that's kept him out since week 2. Was that September 14 game? I don't remember the exact date on it, but I think that's September 14 because I think on the 21st we played the Falcons. So he's been out for over a month. Now, we think he'll come back this week. I don't know how much a difference he makes. With the offensive line that we have and the running game that we don't have, I don't see how it's going to get much better with a young kid who hasn't really seen, who's only seen 2 games of real NFL action.
It's probably why they wanted him to be 100% before he got in, because with this offensive line, you better have your mobility with you.
After the touchdown, the Vikings were 3 and out. And then the Chargers put together an 8-play, 59-yard drive. So, again, sometimes the the defense is on the field too long, but they weren't doing anything at the beginning of the game, the middle of the game, or the end of the game. I'm not.
You know how you eliminate how long you're out on the field? Get off the field occasionally.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Force a 3 and out.
Yeah.
And they weren't.
Now, to their defense, they probably had a pick 6 early. They got negated, but
correct. They had one turnover that stood. Metellus had a pick, and that was the first turnover the defense has created since September 21st.
That's crazy.
It would have been that Falcon game. I mean, that's over a month of not creating a turnover, and Tennessee. It wouldn't have been
the Falcons game, the Bengals game.
The Bengals game.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a cliche, but we love cliches, and generally, as you've heard me say many times, you heard it here first. Cliches are generally true. Cliches are cliches because they're generally true, and turnovers and big plays is generally what decides games. A couple of emails that came in, comment at KFAN.com last night. This one from Gary at 8:39 last night. It says, I've been looking for a football game that was supposed to be played tonight, but all I can find is an infomercial for chairs. So and I don't know if he bought any of those chairs. They probably get them at a cheap price right now. But he did not say. Here's another. This one says, this came at 11:55 last night. It says, I'm not saying the Vikings leadership made a mistake when they sent Harbaugh back to Michigan after that interview a few years ago, but there was almost a symbolic vibe to how awful they looked tonight going against him. And there's the fact that Harbaugh was McCarthy's coach when they were hatching up his grand plan to have him be the future of his team. I'm getting the feeling that the KOC honeymoon period is coming to an end. And it could very well. I think this town has fallen in love with Kevin O'Connell. Mm-hmm. There are those, I think you, other than Andy Reid, I think you basically called him the second or third best coach. I don't remember who else you had up there, but, you know, Nick Sirianni, Shanahan, and others seem to have, and it's not all on KOC. It's not. But as we've talked about before, Tennessee, we've been led to believe that in the contract negotiations, the 4-year extension that O'Connell got, one of the things he wanted to be assured of was he had more say in personnel decisions. I don't know. We've talked about this, Timmy. I was texted by a friend of mine who we text and talk more than most people know about, well, this is on Quasi because we're using free agents and we don't have our draft picks haven't panned out. I again would like to know, and I was going to text Lieber, and because I think he's got the inside scoop on a lot of these things. But just in general, how much does the general manager just provide players to the coaching staff without any input from the coaching staff, or does the coaching staff have quite a bit of input? You would think if that was the request by O'Connell, then maybe coaches don't have as much input as I thought they would have. If I was a GM, and maybe you would say, well, then you're shirking your duties and your responsibilities. That's your job. Why would you go for assistance from the coaching staff? Do your research, find the players, and draft them. But I would want to know, I'd like to talk with my coaching staff and say, what kind of approach do you want to have on offense? Do we want to be a running team? Do we want to pass? Vertical passing game? Do you think we need more offensive line? Are you happy with the offensive lineman we have right now? Do we need a new running back? And then I can make my decisions a little more easily. And I don't know how much input there is between O'Connell, Quasi.
Well, they're collaborative and connected, as far as I know.
That's what they say.
That's what they tell us.
B-Flow, and then who is our offensive coordinator, at least in title only?
Phillips.
Phillips. And again, I don't know because we know O'Connell calls all the plays. So I'm sure Phillips does help with the game planning and all that, but it's almost like I don't know. I don't know how much say he has in personnel either. But he took the Twin Cities by storm. He was 14-3. We lost to the Giants. That was unfortunate. Following year, we replaced that. Donatel was the fall guy. He was the fall guy after the first year. They got rid of him and brought in B-Flow. And B-Flow's defense that first year, I don't know how good they were. We went 7-9, I think. But then the following year, last year were we one game better even? 14-3 weren't, because we were 13-4 the first year.
14-3.
And then we were 14-3 last year, and the defense was very good. I mean, I think we were one of the top ranked. I had some numbers again here. I think. Hold on, Tenby. Give me a moment. Yeah, there you go. I need that. Says, this is again from that Ben Gessling piece. Says, the Vikings have struggled to restrain muscular run games and have grasped at mobile quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, and now Herbert. Their pass rush, the catalyst for so many of their 2024 takeaways, ranked 13 in sacks before Thursday night after finishing 5th last year. Jonathan Allen signed to a 3-year, $51 million deal this offseason, has only 1.5 sacks. Javon Hargrave, who got a 2-year, $30 million contract, has 2 sacks and has seen his playing time recede. So we were told by the Wilf Wallet watchers that these 2 interior defensive linemen were going to change things for us. We're going to get an inside pass rush. That was what we were missing. That's what we were told. And so we let Harrison Phillips go. We traded him. We didn't need any run-stopping ability anymore. We needed to rush the passer. Well, as I just read, Hargrave has only 2 sacks. He's seen his playing time recede. And Jonathan Allen has only a sack and a half. So we're not getting that we're not getting any inside pass rush. At least that is leading to sacks. We
only have 1 pass rusher.
Yeah.
Jonathan Grenard.
That's it. And he was really good early until then. He got banged up too.
He hurt his ankle, yeah. He rolled that.
And did he leave the game? And I dozed off. But he was the only guy in the field. There's 2 JGs.
On the entire defense.
There's 2 JGs in this town that know what they're doing. That would be Jonathan Grenard and Justin Guard. You've got Justin Guard and a guy named Grenard. They know what they're doing. He was their only guy that was playing last night, really. I mean, there was other guys that may have made a difference here and there. There's probably a tackle here. And sometimes one player can attract attention to open things up for another player. So not to say that, all the other 10 guys were completely meaningless in the game. And you know what? I had said I liked the Jeff Okudah acquisition just because it was a guy that we got him cheap, right? He was dirt cheap. Mm-hmm. He had been a 3rd pick overall out of the Ohio State University for Detroit, had bounced around a little bit. Now we know why he bounced around a little bit. There's just nothing there. And the only good thing is they didn't have to waste a lot of money. They didn't have to spend a lot of money.
I think they neglected their secondary thinking with B-Flow and his scheming and our pass rush. Our corners don't need to be out there that long. Right? Because they kind of neglected the secondary until June last year when they went and got a bunch of old veterans to throw back there. I think they got a little arrogant with how good their defense is and how we don't need to go out and spend money on this position.
Against the Colts on Sunday, the Chargers rushed 16 times for 54 yards. Okay, against the Colts. Against the Vikings on Thursday, the Chargers rushed 43 times for 207 yards. Relying on their 3rd-string back, Vidal, who rushed 23 times for 117 yards and a tutty. He was on Deuce's fantasy team last night.
Well, that's exactly the point I was going to bring up. He's 3rd string. They started the year with Omarion Hampton, who they drafted highly, I believe, in the 2nd round. They also had Najee Harris, who they got from Pittsburgh. Those are their top 2 backs. So they ran all over us with their 3rd-string back. The Pittsburgh Steelers, when we played them, they had a bottom 5 rushing team in the league, and they were without their starter. And Kenneth Gainwell ran all over us. So it's one thing when Bijan Robinson does it.
Right.
When it's Kamani Vidal and Kenneth Gainwell, there's a deeper issue here.
And I don't know what... You and I have said this a couple 13, 14 times over the past couple of weeks. Coaches coach, players play. Coaches do have to take responsibility. The coach did what all coaches do. He said, we were outplayed, outcoached. I didn't have the team ready to play and such. I don't know what a coach can do to have a team ready to play. I don't even know what they mean by don't have them. Maybe Tenby, you coached. What is it's like... These are highly paid professional football players that know what's at stake. What does the coach do to have them? Is he talking about game plan or what? I don't know. But and the coach needs to take his share of responsibility. And then, as we just read the text or the email that says, "I'm getting the feeling that the honeymoon period is coming to an end for KOC." I think we're still a ways away from that. I mean, the guy, he was just named Coach of the Year, and they did a really good job last year. There's no question about that. And 2 years ago, when they had the greatest comeback in the history of the National Football League. They had the great win over the Buffalo Bills. They were winning games in the last minute over and over again. They just laid an egg in the playoffs. That's the other thing, is that the head coach is 0-2 in postseason play.
Yeah, I don't know if the honeymoon's over, but I think KOC has not been criticized a lot here. It's been mostly positive reviews. I mean, you get the occasional, what's his record in the playoffs, but for the most part, he's gotten very positive reviews here, and I do think that's going to start changing, and I do think he has rabbit ears, and he hears all this stuff, so I'm curious to see how he reacts to a little bit of adversity and not have everyone throwing rave reviews your way. The quarterback whisperer namesake's going to take a little bit of a hit the way the season's going. I don't know what's going on. If his relationship with B-Flow is fractured at all, the way that defense is performing right now, I'm guessing, we didn't make much of a story of it at the time, but you talked about it earlier. There was a note in KOC's contract reportedly that he wanted more stable personnel. So to me, that rings of, well, there might be a little bit of division between him and the front office and how things are done. And we didn't say much about it at the time because the team was winning and they were doing well. But now it starts to maybe show up on things like this.
Well, and remind me, we do believe there was a major fracture, earthquake-like fracture between Zimmer and Spielman, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was so it
at the end, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it does happen where general managers and coaches.
I feel like neither of them have really talked about that the way that ended either.
Exactly. Neither one has said much. And at the crux of this, and we've talked about this a lot too, Tennessee, the team, think about how it's changed. Less than a year ago, this team was one win away from winning the North and securing home field advantage throughout the playoffs as the number one seed. Darnold gets skittish. He plays poorly. They lose to the Lions. They go from a chance to the 1 seed. They drop to the 5th, and then they get beat by the Rams, manhandled by the Rams. And immediately following the game, it was it was a Sunday, I think it was Monday at the season-ending news conference. KOC said, we need to improve the interior of our offensive line. So the general manager did that. They went out and got the Fries I can't ever remember the other guy's name, the center. That's out now.
Ryan Kelly.
Ryan Kelly. So Kelly and Fries come in. We get Hargrave, and the other guy what's his name again?
Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, but who's the other
Jonathan
guy?
Allen.
Jonathan Allen. To fortify the interior of the offensive and the interior of the defensive line. We make like you say, they kind of didn't do a lot with it. The secondary, we lost a couple of guys. We went and got Zay. And we decided we did want to sign Sam Darnold after a spectacular season, a career direction changing season. There was the one bad game. I get it, but all quarterbacks, unless you think that sets up alarm bells. If in a big game with the season on the line, he played as bad as he did, and you think that's going to happen over and over again, I guess that's why you're going in another direction. I think it was more, we don't want to give him $100 million because we want to have money to spend on free agents. And the quarterback whisper stuff. He said in that interview last week on television, he doesn't like the quarterback whisperer thing, but he also did say he's proud of how they handle the quarterback situation. So I'm thinking they liked McCarthy and thought, this kid's he's got the basics that we need. He's young. He's got a good arm. He's won everywhere he's went. We can win with this guy. All we need to do to improve on 14-3, interior of the offensive line, interior of the defensive line, and then I'll handle the rest by coaching this kid up. And it just hasn't turned out that way. The interior of the offensive line, most of it because of injuries, hasn't worked. We just talked about the two guys in the interior of the defensive line. They've basically been meaningless. And the kid looked awful in his first 2 weeks. Then he gets the ankle sprain. We had nobody to back him up. We could have got Rodgers. Rodgers wanted to play here. Guess we could have kept Danny Dimes. And who saw that coming? I don't know if anybody really saw him playing like he has been with the Colts. So personnel decisions and maybe being a little too confident in your ability to coach up quarterbacks and selecting the right players. It's got this team in a terrible situation right now. We'll take a break. 5:34, top of the hour, Temby. What we got?
Yeah, well, PJ's team bringing home the bacon.